What's wrong? Work, damn it! Get a grip, Alice. It's just a tree. Come on, Bullet. Good dog.
Blair Witch is a 2019 first-person horror game made by Bloober Team, we might remember from the Observer video a few days ago, and also takes place in the same universe as the film The Blair Witch Project. To be perfectly frank, when the trailers first showed up for this game, I was fairly skeptical. I basically figured they were either going to ruin the lore that had been established through the movies already, or that it would be so radically different from the original movie that it would basically be a Blair Witch game in name only. And to my pleasant surprise, it's not only a very good horror game, but it's also a surprisingly faithful adaptation of the film, at least in regards to its elements. The plot is decidedly different on account of the character you play as. In this game, you play Ellis, a former cop and soldier, who has his dog Bullet as a companion, to go and look for a boy who has been missing out in the same woods where the first movie has taken place.
Come on, boy. Peter's in danger, and we're the only ones who can help him. Good boy. Now show me.
The thing that I can compliment the most with this game is the scope of levels, in the sense of you can very easily get lost in this game, and that is something I say as a compliment. In most games, you'd think that that would be a factor of bad level design, but a core component of the plot of the original movies is people walking in circles, getting lost, feeling disoriented, or like they've been doing this over and over. In this game, there actually are several segments where if you aren't doing the right thing in the plot, or if you haven't solved the puzzle correctly, you will not be able to leave the area. Not because of some invisible wall, but because when you reach what is seen to be the edge of an area, you can continue walking down the path seemingly endlessly, and then you'll eventually reach where you had started. It's a really cool effect and done almost seamlessly in certain areas. After you figure out the pattern, it kinda starts to become a little obvious, but the fact that it takes a while for you to even notice it in a way that's organic is a pretty good sign of the polish that this game has on display. The one thing that makes this game relatively distinct from its predecessor is the fact that you have multiple endings as well as multiple approaches to certain areas. There will be full-on spoilers going forward, so be ready for that. There are various creatures that'll attack you throughout your playthrough. The game prompts you to defeat them by shining your flashlight at them in order to defeat them. You look in their direction, shine the flashlight at them, they become scared, jittery, and run away, presumably being hurt by the light. However, the game pushes you towards this, but you don't actually need to in order to succeed in the encounter. In fact, you don't need to hurt them or encounter them at all, because as soon as you know that they're nearby, you can instead flip up your camera, turn on the night vision, which allows you to still see and navigate without shining light on them, and walk past stealthily. The reason I bring this up, though, as a spoiler is because this is actually a component of getting one of the multiple endings, and it specifically details not falling into the traps that the Blair Witch has set. It actually is a kind of genius thing because it does what I would say a counterintuitive move in order to encourage you to get a different ending. That is, what are gamers usually bound to do? They are bound to fight, and they are bound to collect. In this case, you must not collect the items that are scattered around the game, in this case the various wooden totems, and you are encouraged to avoid all combat. If you can do this enough times, you will have the option of the additional ending or the good ending of the game. It's also a nice touch because it kind of falls into what I discussed before in regards to the game ruining the lore as a concern I had before release. The game features these things, and it is in line with the lore that the films and its supporting material has brought forward, as the original film as well as its sequel both tie into the idea that the more that you interact with these tokens and artifacts of the witch, the more it has influence over you, and the more you interact with them, the more that she's able to hurt you as a consequence. So, if you completely avoid harming any of her monsters, and if you avoid touching any of her tokens, then her influences diminish, and you can actually divert yourself from what we would call your fate at the end of the game. Your fate is also dictated by Bullet. Bullet is awesome. Bullet is the goodest of boys.
Yeah, how did we end up back here? Yeah, good dog.
Bullet is absolutely one of the undeniably best parts of the game, and even detractors have, to their own admittance, stated that Bullet is a great component of the game, when he works. Some people have stated that he's kind of glitchy, didn't experience it myself though. At the end of the day, Blair Witch does a really good job of building suspense primarily through putting you through unexpected situations, as well as just the generally good atmosphere that walking in a forest at night can build. And if not for Bullet, it would be complete isolation as you go through this game. It also has a few elements from some other games that I have seen that I like, namely a couple of allusions to Spec Ops: The Line, believe it or not. Trust me, I will cover that game eventually, and it is a fantastic thing to reference. I would recommend this game to most people. I will say though, as a warning, be aware that a lot of this game is going to be solving puzzles and walking around in a creepy forest, and if that's not something that you're into, then you might want to try another game. I only say this because a fair number of the negative reviews of the game seem to state these things as a negative when I imply that they're a core component of it. Blair Witch is a movie about people walking around a forest for a while and getting lost. The game is about walking around in a forest for a while and getting lost, and then people would say, I don't like the game because of this, and it's okay to say that. You don't have to like a game if you don't genuinely enjoy it. I would just say that the game is being faithful to its source material, and it might be more an issue of you not being fond of the concept as a whole as opposed to the game being poorly executed. Overall, I would personally give the game an 8 out of 10. Definitely recommend it. It's on Steam. The developers have been pretty good about pushing out patches to address performance, as that is the only consistent issue I had with the game, with frame rates being relatively inconsistent even if I lowered the graphical settings significantly. With that in mind, go on out, try the game, and remember to pet that dog, because you can do that at almost any point in the game, and it also affects the ending that you get. So do it often. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this content, feel free to subscribe, and stay tuned for the finale of our Halloween week with a very, very special guest. See you next time.